Hello, I'm Dr. Peter Day, and I'm the Principal Investigator on the Antislavery Knowledge Network Phase 2 research project entitled Community Stories of Modern Slavery in Migori County, Kenya. Now, this is a community-based participatory research project using community media practices for the collection of community stories. We're funded by the Arts and Humanities Research Council and the Global Challenges Research Fund. And the purpose of AKN, or Antislavery Knowledge Network Phase 2 projects, is to investigate modern slavery as a development challenge by creative, innovative approaches from the arts and the humanities to deliver community-engaged anti-slavery work. So it's about building capacity and it's about building capabilities. And that is what actualizes the community development approach through research. And at every stage of these processes, of these workshops, communications, so talking and listening, responding respectfully, developing an understanding, questioning, being critical, is all part of a process of building relationships of trust, reciprocity, and mutuality between all partners. As I've said earlier, one of the most telling things about community-based participatory research, and in our case, community media-based participatory research, is the transformative nature of the relationships during the research cycle. Community members are collaborators or co-investigators alongside with the academics rather than passive respondents, as we often find in more traditional forms of academic research. Community members, therefore, are active participants in all stages of the research cycle. In this research collaboration, relationships are understood to be between equals, with each collaborator bringing something different to the partnership. In essence, the community media-based participatory research approach of the participatory learning workshops focuses on the development of community research capacity in order to create understanding of the social environment and knowledge of the lived experiences for the purpose of effecting social change and policy reform. In this instance, of addressing issues of modern-day slavery. In this project, we adopt an active learning approach to participatory learning workshops. Each workshop not only introduces participants to doing community media-based participatory research, but also provides communities with the opportunity to discuss community issues and find solutions to community problems that they've identified as being of importance to them. Before the scenario component of each workshop, interactive introductions to community-based participatory research, community media, community university partnerships, and research ethics were given. In this way, participants received contextualized learning opportunities and were able to embrace their participation as active members of the research team. These sessions were worked into the participatory learning workshop program at the request of our community partners. They wanted to learn to be researchers like us, like their academic partners. Now, each scenario-based participatory learning workshop comprised a preset scenario drawn and shaped by previous interactions, in this case, the community conversations. The purpose of scenario-based participatory learning workshops is to provide communities with an opportunity to discuss community issues and community problems. Using the preset scenario drawn from the community conversations in this way allowed people to relate to their own personal experiences and those experiences of friends, family, loved ones. It enables them to discuss causes of the problems and issues. It facilitates an exploration of community aspirations and needs and allows them to start to discuss and identify possible solutions. By presenting the thoughts of the group to the other groups involved in the workshops and then listening to those thoughts of other groups, participants are able to reflect on similarities and differences from the groups and decide on what must be done, the way forward, and able to plan and organise future strategies. This is important because this is a community-based participatory research project using community media. So, the first scenario suggested that they'd been invited by a community to engage with them to discuss problems relating to modern-day slavery that affected their community. They were to explore ways in which awareness of these issues, their causes, and how they might be addressed within the community could be raised, which agencies might be involved, and how policy administrations can and should assist in these processes. During the discussions, again, certain causative factors emerged, and they were very similar to the planning meeting and the community conversations. The second workshop gave participants the following scenario. You are members of a community radio production team and have been invited by the community to explore ways in which the new community radio station might 1. Help raise awareness of the problems of modern-day slavery in Migori County. 2. Campaign to effect social change, what issues need to be covered and how. And 3. Organise content for community campaigns that contribute to solving these problems within the community. What kind of programme content should be produced? How might community radio cover local events to produce local interest programmes? How might community stories be told on the radio in a way that has an impact on the community? Who should be approached to be involved in the programmes? And add anything else you consider to be important to this scenario. Now, in conclusion, I want to say now that we're skipping a bit here because we'll discuss the findings in a different podcast for the future. But there are a number of lessons that we drew from these, and I think I'd like to conclude with the lessons we learned or took from these participatory learning workshops. As the workshops progressed and their technical skills and knowledge developed amongst the participants, they were encouraged to reflect individually and collectively on how their learning might be applied to support the activities of the project. This created a virtuous circle of critical thinking, reflection, dialogue, and problem solving within the research cycle of the project. We also discovered that the knowledge, skills, and understanding developed by the learners were being taken back to their local community groups or their local community environments. In this way, there was a form of extended community learning going on. This was emerging as an outcome, an indirect outcome of the project. The PLWs, in effect, were contributing to community networking by extending the influence of the workshops through community communications. In other words, participants going back and sharing their thoughts and experiences and what they've learned with their broader community. Now, during the workshops, we noted 3 main areas of interest. The first, that there was a great interest in using media tools for practical learning, but also for reflecting critically on how these tools might be appropriated to support community activities. For example, how might an audio recorder or a mobile phone be used to create radio content for disseminating information, sharing knowledge, stimulating community communication processes? Secondly, the creation of spaces for social networking, dialogue and discussion and information sharing and critical reflections formed a crucial part of this activity. Thirdly, the processes for building social capital. The interaction and the dialogue encouraged by critical reflection and social interactions of the participatory learning workshop processes supports the creation and in some cases re-established network ties and relationships of trust and reciprocal sharing. In essence, participatory learning workshops support community networking in terms of developing community communication processes whilst contributing to the development of community network structures, capacity building and capability building. In this way, participatory learning workshops support the four processes of community learning: open participation, community dialogue, networking, and information sharing. They speak to the design of effective community learning environments. If this was the only thing that we achieved on this project, that in itself would be no mean feat. But there is much more to come, and we look forward to you joining us again for future podcasts.